Come on in. Who's ready? Who is ready for day one of the Clarity and Confidence Challenge? Good evening. Good evening. Come on in. I'm going to give it just a few moments. Good evening. Good evening. I'm going to give it just a few minutes. I hope that you had a great day. Good evening. Good evening. Say hello when you come in for me. Say hello. Good evening. I hope that you all are ready tonight, and I hope that you have your either your journal or your notepad and a pen. I hope that you are ready tonight. Good evening. I'm going to start in about 2 minutes. 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. I want to make the best of our time tonight in this first day of this Clarity and Confidence Challenge. I want to make the best of our time tonight. So I'm going to give others just about 2 more minutes to join us. And then I'm going to go ahead and get started again. You may want to grab a notepad or your journal and a ink pen. You may want to grab that as well. I pray that each of you had an awesome day. This Monday, this first day of this new week of goals, this new week of blessings, this new week of opportunities. I pray that it started off good for each and every one of you all. I pray that it did. I'm going to give it about 1 more minute. 1 more minute. 1 more minute. 1 more minute. One more minute. Those of you that know that there are others in the group and you have their cell phones, you may want to send them a text message and let them know that we are on. We are on for night number 1. And I'm going to start probably now in about 30 seconds. 30 seconds. I don't know about you all, but I have been waiting for this. I look forward to this time, the beginning of the year, every year, where I always do some type of challenge. I usually do it last week, but you all know that I had some plans for last week, so I wasn't able to do it. So that is why we're doing it this week. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm showing 8:31 on my phone. I'm showing 8:31. First of all, I want to say welcome to my exclusive Facebook group, Reclaim Her members. Each of you are in this group because you have supported me by way of my women's conferences or my vision summits, or you have invested in some kind of way in my group coaching. You have invested in my business or my ministry in some type of way. And so that is why you are in my exclusive Facebook group, this private group. So I want to give you all what my focus and what my mission is. My mission is I empower women to take back their power after traumatic, unhealthy relationships, and stressful situations that have occurred in their lives. I help them to get back to her. What is her? The acronym for Healthy Energy Restoration, so that she can be her very best her. So we are coming this week. We are coming for 5 days. 5 days each night at 8:30 p.m. so that we can have this discussion about the Clarity and Confidence Challenge. Now, I want to set some rules in place. You're in this space, and I hope and pray that you will be engaged. When I say engaged, I know that we cannot talk to each other. You can only hear me. I cannot hear you. But I hope and pray that you will post your comments or whatever it is that you would like to say. I would like for us to be very much engaged, because what I have learned is that you may say something and it could benefit another sister. What am I saying? We're not in a large Facebook group. We are in an exclusive private Facebook group. Nothing can be shared from this group. I have it blocked that way. None of your comments can be shared. This video cannot be shared. Now, pictures can be downloaded. Yes, they can, and posted. But for the most part, it's private. So whatever we do in this space, it is going to remain private. So what I'm asking is that we will be engaged as we go through these next 5 days together. I promise you that these 5 days is going to be a blessing. There are some of you who jump started last year, 2019, with me, where 5 days we talked about focus. So this year we're talking about clarity and confidence. Is there anybody ready for us to begin the challenge? Is there anybody ready for us to begin the challenge? I want you all to know that I have been so excited that I could not wait for us to get in this space together. Again, you want to grab a notebook, a journal, a ink pen. You want to have something to write with so that you can take notes as we go forward tonight. So each night I am going to talk about a word that begins with the letter C. And tonight I am going to open up with clarity. Now, I want to talk about clarity because sometimes we can be confused about what clarity is. So I looked up the definition of clarity, and then I'm going to elaborate on clarity more tonight. So clarity, the quality of being coherent and intelligible and easy to understand. The quality of transparency or purity means clearness. Now, clarity is something that it is not easy to get. It's not easy to maintain. And I want to tell you that clarity takes work. What do I mean by that? Clarity does not just happen. You do not just wake up one day and you have clarity. That is not possible. Clarity takes you putting in time, energy, and work. And clarity is a process. I don't know about you, but there have been some times in my life where I felt like I had clarity about a situation. Is there anybody else that's ever been there? You thought that you knew exactly where you were going, what you were doing in your life. You thought that you knew what was best for you, but then turns out you find out that you really did not know. That's because clarity is not as easy as it seems. Clarity is not real easy. And there will be people who will say, yes, I have clarity. I have clarity for every area of my life. I know what I'm doing in my life. I know where I'm going in my life. Yes, that is true at some points in our lives, but the majority of the time, that is not true. We do not have clarity. I want to tell you that there have been several major things in my life where I fully thought that I had clarity. Fully. I'm going to get into what I have on my iPad, but I'm going to be transparent here. I see that Sister Keisha put that up there. And when you get my new book, you'll read about this in my new book. So, when God was calling me to preach, I was in denial because I felt like there were enough preachers in my family. My grandfather, my father, my husband, my brother, my immediate family. I said my husband. Yes, I said my husband last. And I was like, no, Lord, you cannot be calling me. There are enough preachers in my family. I can just be the praise and worship leader. I can do the women's ministry. And Lord, I'm fine. I don't have to be in the front line. So I fought it. I fought it for a long time. And I know that this has happened with some of you. It may not be about preaching, but it's been about a situation in your life. And so basically what happened is, in my fighting, the calling of God on my life, I went through a lot. I went through a lot of sleepless nights. I went through days that I could never stop crying. I went through hell, because God was trying to show me that He was in full control. And it was not until I yielded to my call, the call that God had on my life, that things began to change and manifest in my life. What I'm trying to tell you is that when God speaks to you about something, you know when it's God speaking. How do you know when it's God speaking? Because you know the voice of God. Now, there are times when we may question, is that God talking to me? But you know that it's God talking to you. Why? Because He does not leave you alone. Is there anybody else that has had a situation like that in your life? That you didn't understand it, but God kept knocking at your door, knocking at the door of your heart, continuously speaking in your ear? So I'm talking about clarity. Clarity tonight. We must get clarity for where God is trying to take us in 2020. Let me get back to my iPad. You will notice that when we are in these 5 days, I try not to be the pastor Sandara, but more of the coach Sandara. But if you know me well, it is on the inside of me, and sometimes it will come out. So, why is clarity important? A lack of clarity in communication can do a great deal of damage. If you don't have clarity in the majority of the areas in your life, it will lead to a great deal of damage. What am I saying? If you don't have clarity in relationships, it does what? It leads to a lack of communication. It leads to misunderstandings. But when you are clear about what it is that you want, ain't nobody got to guess what you want. You don't mind telling anybody what you want. You don't mind saying it. You don't mind speaking it. Can I tell you that ain't nobody got time to guess about what it is that you want? Nobody has time to guess about that. Not when you have the opportunity to just say it out of your mouth and tell somebody what you want. Clarity. Just tell them what you want. Nobody has to guess about it. So when you don't have clarity, it leads to a great deal of damage. I want to talk about as a leader, not just a leader in the church, but a leader in the organization, a leader at school, a leader on your job. If you don't have clarity and you're not able to have clear communication, your leadership will be all over the place. Have you ever seen a leader that's all over the place? Have you ever seen a leader that really doesn't know where it is that they're going? You don't know where they're going from one day to the next. Have you ever seen or ever experienced a leader like this? This is because they do not have clarity. Now, I do know that God changes things for leaders. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about somebody who is all over the place. In fact, do you ever find yourself all over the place? You jump from one thing to the next. You jump from one thing to the next. You never complete anything. You start it, but you never complete it. You start this project, but you never find yourself completing it. You start another project over here, but you never find yourself completing it. Why? Because you do not have clarity. And the other thing is, the first question you got to ask yourself is, did God tell you to do that? Or did you tell yourself to do that? We're talking about clarity tonight. And we must get clarity in order for things to happen in our lives differently. We must get clarity. Clarity is a must. Clarity is a must for your everyday life. Clarity is a must for the days that are ahead of you. Clarity is a must. Can I tell you tonight that you cannot live without clarity? You cannot live without clarity. I talked about this on Sunday, and I'm going to give this a little bit here. Have you ever been caught in a storm? A storm where it is pouring down, raining so hard, the wipers can't move fast enough. They can't clear the window fast enough for you to be able to see where it is that you're going. Is there anybody that's ever been caught in a rainstorm like that? Or have you ever been caught in a storm like that in your life, where you feel like there is all kind of chaos and you cannot keep up? The storm has to stop in order for you to get clarity in your life. What am I trying to say? Is that sometimes God brings the storms to get our attention because he knows that after the storm stops, what? He has our attention. God wants us to get clarity. I've been talking about 2020 focus at my church. He wants us to get clarity so that we can stop being all over the place. Is there anybody tonight that feel like sometimes in your life that you are all over the place? All over the place. You can't stay focused. You can't do anything right. You can't sleep at night. Is there anybody that feels like you do not have complete clarity. Yes, we all do. We've all been there. We all go through it. It happens in each and every one of our lives, including me. I am not exempt. What I'm trying to tell you all is that I have had to put in some major work in order for me to have clarity in my life. People tell me all the time, you make it look so easy for what it is that you do. But guess what? People have no idea that I don't sleep sometime at night, that I toss and turn because so much is going on in my headspace that I cannot keep up. And I'm sure that happens to some of you all. You can't sleep at night. Why? Because so much is going on in your head. Can I tell you, when that happens to you, that you need to get up and that you need to write in your journal? And if you cannot write in your journal, you need to pick up your phone and you need to turn on your notes page and you need to speak whatever the Lord says to you. That's not the time for you to sleep, because the truth of the matter is you're really not going to sleep anyway. You're going to toss and you're going to turn and you're going to wake up and the morning is here and you're going to realize that you didn't get any rest. God is trying to get your attention. The first thing I want to tell you is fear less and trust more. In 2020, you are going to have to kick fear. You're going to have to kick it. You're going to have to tell fear that it has to go. You're going to have to tell fear that it has no place in your life. Can I confess right here for a minute? I know I make things look easy, but can I tell you that in my life that I do things scared and afraid? I said something right there. Scared, afraid, don't know how it's going to turn out, don't know what to do. Can you believe that? Can you believe that I just said that? I know. I make it look like I don't have no issues. Guess what? I have issues just like you have issues. I have sleepless nights just like you have sleepless nights. I have begun to have less. Why? Because I put in the work that is necessary for me to kick fear where it needs to be. What am I trying to say? You have got to trust God more. Not just trust God more, but you are going to have to trust your instincts more. You are going to have to trust that gut feeling that you get. You get that feeling. Yes, you may be afraid, but that does not mean that you cannot do it. Do some things in 2020 afraid. So what if you mess up? So what if it doesn't turn out right the first time? Guess what? You can do it again. Perfect is not the answer in 2020. Doing it is the answer in 2020. Starting somewhere is the answer in 2020. Not perfection. See, the truth of the matter is social media will mess us up. Everybody makes everything that they're doing look so right, look so perfect. Can I tell you that people just showing you what they want you to see? People not showing you everything. People not showing you the mess ups. People are showing you what they want you to see. Don't allow social media to mess you up. Yes, do it afraid. Don't be afraid to mess up. Don't be afraid to mess up. It's okay to mess up. There is only one perfect person. His name ain't the name ain't Sandara, and the name ain't none of y'all name. His name is Jesus. Ain't nobody perfect. Stop trying to be perfect. Can I tell you that it'll never happen? Now, I know it may look like things that I do are perfect, no issues. Can I tell you? If you ain't behind the scenes with me and my team, you'll never know. You'll never know. You'll never know what happens in the preparation. You'll never know what happens the day of. You'll never know unless I tell you. And guess what? That's happening with everybody. I'm talking about clarity. You have got to get clarity for where it is that God is taking you in 2020. Because I have some preachers on here. Clarity for your ministry. Clarity for your life. Clarity for your business. Clarity for the business that have not even been developed. You must get clarity, but you also must start somewhere. I said something right there. You must start somewhere. So the first thing that I told you is, in this clarity and confidence challenge, be fearless, mean have less fear, and trust more. The next thing I want to tell you is release the need to be in control. I said something right there. Release the need to be in control. If that's not your position, stop trying to do it. Stop trying to do what you see everybody else doing. Because if that is not your calling, it is not going to last. You are going to fall on your face trying to do what you see everybody else do. Stop trying to be in control. Allow God to be in control. Release it. Release the feeling to be in control. When you're able to access the energy of abundance, and when you have faith that God always provides, that God never makes a mistake, that God knows what He is doing, you'll begin to feel your desires come into form when you release control. What am I saying? Things will come into place when you release control. Ask me how I know. I've been doing women's conferences for 22 years, to be exact. Every year, up until just a few weeks before the conference, I have really bad anxiety because I'm waiting for people to register. I'm waiting to see who is going to come. And I'm going to be transparent some more. I spend some of my own money to make the conference happen. I'm talking about 22 years. I've done this. And God spoke to me late December. And God said, in 2020, you will not wait on anybody. You will not spend any of your personal money to do ministry in 2020. And I said, God, what do you mean? What do you mean? God said, I need you to trust me. I said, okay, God, you have my full attention. My full attention. God said, do not have a women's conference this year. Yet you are to have a women's retreat. I said, God, you can't worship at a women's retreat. I worship. I like to get my praise on. I want to run around. I want to hear the praise team. I want to hear the band. Lord, I need all of that. And he said to me, either you'll do what I tell you, or you'll keep being in control. And I said, wow. I fought with it for about 2 weeks. I'm confessing, I'm being transparent. I said, I done heard that voice before, and I know it's nobody but God talking to me. Why did I just waste 2 weeks going back and forth about that when I know that that was the voice of the Lord? But then I questioned it again. I said, people don't pay $65. They're going to pay for a retreat? That's what I said. And then I said, I'm releasing control of this thing. Full control. What did God do? God did something in 11 days that he has not done in 22 years. Do you hear me? God is still working miracles. That was for somebody. I don't know who that was for. You waiting on God to do something for you and you can't see how it's going to happen. I walked in full obedience and sold out. God told me, he said, this year, he said, what you don't realize is that everybody that's been attending your women's conference, they're not a part of your in crowd. You've had some spectators. You've had some haters. You've had some duplicators. I said, what? Yeah. So now, when you put it out there for the retreat, and when you put the right price out there, I'm going to show you who is in your circle. Did God show me? Yes. I'm not saying that there are not others. Please don't misunderstand me. But God confirmed what he showed me. I'm helping somebody tonight. And only you know who you are. I'm trying to tell you that what I tried to do for 22 years, God did in 11 days.